Thank you, Dr. Elie Abadie, for your precious time.
Very much.
And for being with us. It's an honor. It's my first time to host a rabbi on my podcast. And I guess this is a wonderful interfaith event as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Sayed Peer. It's a pleasure and an honor to be on your podcast.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm very confused when I was reading about your profile, and a doctor by profession, rabbi by passion, born in US, living in UAE. So it's amazing. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, with pleasure. I am in a sense the citizen of the world. I was born actually in Beirut, Lebanon. My parents were born in Aleppo, Syria. They were refugees from Syria when the partition plan was voted at the United Nations in 29 of November 1947. Then during the next 3 days in 10 Arab countries, they rose against their Jewish communities as a revenge for the partition plan vote. Many people were killed. Stores were looted, Jewish homes were looted, synagogues were and schools, Jewish schools were burned. So my parents lived right next door to the great synagogue in Aleppo, and as they saw how they looted it, they burned Torah scrolls and they started to burn the building. My parents escaped for their life, as many people were killed actually. And they escaped to Lebanon, where they found a tranquil place, a place that they welcomed them, as Lebanon was under French mandate and welcomed many refugees. So I was born in Lebanon. Grew up in Lebanon till age 10. Then we moved to Mexico, and that also has a story. We moved to Mexico in 1971. After the events of Black September that took place in Jordan, where the PLO and its guerrillas were brought to Lebanon for, I guess, safe haven. No other Arab country will accept them. And as they came to Lebanon, the Jewish community felt much less safe and secure. And one day, the picture of my father, who was a rabbi and a member of the Jewish court, together with the other two members of the Jewish court, that picture appeared on the mosques of Lebanon and also in a magazine in Lebanon with a caption under it saying, "These are the Zionist agents," which was not true. They were just Jews living in Lebanon. And so that put my family and the family of all the other rabbis also at risk and in danger. And that's when we kind of made a decision to leave Lebanon and escape for safety to Mexico. I lived in Mexico for 8 years. And then I went to the United States to university and a seminary where I graduated. I received an ordination, a rabbinical ordination as a rabbi, and also a medical degree where I practiced medicine and the rabbinate for all these years. And then 2 years ago, I came to be the senior rabbi of the Jewish Council of the Emirates here in the United Arab Emirates. I had visited the Emirates several years before that, twice. I had the honor to meet with His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed when I came the second time. And then when the Abraham Accords were signed, the community was requested to register as an official community of faith. A rabbi was needed. My name came about as they knew me, the government knew me, and the community knew me. And I was asked to come, and I accepted the invitation, and I came. And I've been here almost 2 years now.
I must say, what a fantastic and it's amazing journey of life you have gone through. From Lebanon to Syria, Syria to Mexico, Mexico to USA, and now in UAE.
Yes.
It's amazingly inspiring. It's amazingly inspiring that you have gone through so much. I should not use the word, but it's appropriate here that you have gone through a hell, but still there is energy, there is a smile on your face, the hope is there. How could you manage this all?
Yes, well, you know, it was actually from Syria to Lebanon, from Lebanon to Mexico, from Mexico to the US, from the US to UAE. I take that as experiences in life, that they have really enriched me. They have enriched me to learn the culture, the religions that I lived amongst, the community, the society, the language. And so I take that more as an enrichment to my soul, to my being, and it has made me wiser. I could say it has made me more knowledgeable, and it has made me feel comfortable in many of those cultures and able to always extend the hand and build bridges between so many religions, faiths, nationalities, ethnicities. So I take that, believe it or not, as a blessing. But of course, a regular person will say, this is too much wandering. I'm the wandering Jew, so to speak. It's too much wandering, too much traveling. But I take that positively, and I see it that it's something that has enriched me significantly.
Dr. Ali, don't mind me asking a very straight question. When you opened your eyes, you saw hatred. When you were growing up, you experienced it. Now you are challenging that whole hatred. You are sitting in UAE, representing your community, leading them there in a Muslim country, and there is no more hostile situation there. So how could, like, I wonder if I hardly remember that I have seen someone staring at me with hatred in his or her eyes. I cannot go through that experience.
Yes, I was born into hatred, so to speak. I have seen it with my eyes. I have experienced it. My family has experienced it. But I always believed that ultimately the truth will come out. Unfortunately, the hatred that my family and I experienced is based on false narratives, is based on propaganda, false propaganda, is based on what we call today fake news. And I always believed in the human ability to eventually find the truth and learn about the truth and learn the true story and learn the true narrative. And once a human being sees that, they have to change, and they have to see that hatred is just not something that can last, and not something that you could build a world with. And so therefore I had always faith that the moment will come in which hatred will turn into love and embrace, in which distance will turn into friendship, and so on and so forth. And so to me, having been asked to come to an Arab country back is kind of closing the circle as kind of a vindication in a sense. Here, my family, myself, were kind of expelled or persecuted out of an Arab country so many decades ago. And here I am being welcomed with the open arms, with an embrace, with wanting to live together, coexistence, and more than just tolerance, but acceptance and really friendship. And so, yes, even though the UAE did not exist then, and the UAE was not of those countries that expelled or persecuted its Jews, that didn't happen. But in a sense, in a general milieu of the region, to me, it feels like here I'm being invited officially with an embrace, with an open arms, and to me, it's closing the circle. And it's a great feeling to be able to come back kind of from my homeland, so to speak, back to the culture that I was born in, back to the culture that I grew, that I nursed in a sense, and I was nurtured.
That's right. Pakistan is also a country which never persecuted Jews, but unfortunately, the atmosphere, the political arena was like that. A majority of our Jewish community left Pakistan for the good. For the good, of course, they were feeling themselves threatened, so they migrated to Israel, and now we have a very vibrant, colorful, and a very, very overwhelming Pakistani community inside Israel.
That's wonderful. Yes.
How do you see the process of or the journey of Abrahamic Accord till date, and how you see the future of Abrahamic Accord?
Well, I kind of saw the Abrahamic Accords coming. I know that sooner or later they will take place, that opening up will take place, normalization will take place. And I am thrilled that it happened. And I think is the best that could happen to the region. And so I have great hopes that the Abraham Accords will expand and will include many other countries in the region with normalization. And this normalization is, it has brought so much blessings to the region in business, in technology, in agriculture, in science, in medicine, in practically every area of human endeavor. And that's so wonderful to see, that two countries living in the same region, more than two now. You have Bahrain, you have Sudan, you have Morocco, and a few others are coming, I do hope, and I believe it will happen. It has created a region that can become really a superpower, this entire region in the world. And I think it's about time. It's about time that due respect is given to the region, to the contribution of these nations in the world stage. And so the Abraham Accord was kind of the vehicle to unleash this great potential that can be harnessed between all these countries.
That's right. Give me the news. Who is next?
I wish I knew who is next. I'm not privy to these conversations. However, you know, you would look around and you see how certain countries are kind of lowering their barriers or breaking some of these barriers. And that's what I saw before the Abraham Accords and recognized something was coming. You know, and of course, some conversation took place that I was aware of. So who's next? I don't know, but I do hope who can be next. And I do hope that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will be next. I do hope that Oman will be next, that Qatar and even Pakistan, I have great hopes that they will be eventually next.
We are hoping so. We are hoping so. And Dr. Ali, now you are living in UAE and leading your community there. You are in close contact with the government of UAE. We have a impression that UAE is advocating for normalization with Israel, with a, what I should say, they are advocating it like their own case, their own initiative. We have this impression. Do you agree with me that UAE is more vocal about the normalization with Israel for the other countries?
Well, the UAE has been an example. It has been the avant-garde on this normalization. They did open up the doors to other countries to join them. They were the good example in this region for normalization. And I believe that they did it with pride, with very good knowledge about the situation, and it's a step that they took, from what I hear, not to go back. And so yes, it's a full-fledged normalization in all aspects of human endeavors, and I think they have become a role model to many other countries that I am sure they're contemplating normalization, and they might be a little bit skeptical or afraid or waiting for the right moment. But the courage that the UAE took is exemplary, is praiseworthy, and certainly it has been used as a role model for the rest of other countries.
What is your threat perception in the region now? When you see there is a development on nuclear deal with Iran, the world is like the powers are going to deal with Iran and cut a deal with Iran. And on the other side, you see there is an ongoing war between Saudi Arabia and Yemen is taking place. Uncertainty is Northern African region. Extremism is growing there. In Israel, they have terrorists almost all around their state. From all four corners, they are surrounded with the terrorism. So how you see the problems and their solutions?
Well, I am not a politician, so I won't be able to give a answer that is filled with political knowledge. The only thing I could say, when I look at the region, on one hand, I do see terrorism, I do see fighting, and I do see acts that bring instability to the region. And yet, on the other hand, I do see a region that is building bridges amongst their countries, relations, cooperations in many areas of human endeavor, creating a new region. And so, as a man of faith myself, I do believe that the forces of good will eventually vanquish the forces of evil. And I do believe that the forces of evil eventually will kind of remove the blindfolds that they have, find out the true narrative, find out the true story, and not the fake propaganda and incitement. And I believe that they will eventually jump into the side, the band where they're doing good. The side where there is building bridges, creating cooperation, coexistence, and embracing each other. That's how I believe, and that's what I hope is going to happen. But usually, again, and theologically, I could say whenever the forces of good are winning, the forces of evil, in a sense, try to challenge that even more and more. They become more aggressive. But I do hope that at the end, the forces of good will always win. And the forces of evil will recognize and realize that their ways is not correct, that their ways is the wrong way. And eventually they'll join the forces of good.
Dr. Ali, you mentioned about your father when, that in your childhood, people brought his picture in public and said that he is an agent of Zionists, which he was not.
Correct.
So, from my knowledge and for the learning of our listeners, would you like to explain what Zionism and how Zionists are different than the Jews? What are the basic concepts?
Well, let me give you a background. The word Zionism is over 100 years old, 125 years old. It comes from the word Zion, which is another term, another name for Jerusalem in the Bible. In the Bible, when it speaks about Jerusalem, it calls it Jerusalem, and it also calls it Zion. Zion comes from the word in Hebrew that means the place, the appointed place. And that's what the prophets say, the appointed place is Jerusalem, the city that God has chosen. And so that's why it's called also Sion in Hebrew or Zion in English, and that's where the word Zionism comes from. But that's modern Zionism. We cannot escape the truth in the history of Judaism and in the Bible that the land of Israel was given to Bani Israel. The Quran, the Holy Quran, in the first 10 chapters and many of the surahs states very, very clearly, that God said that He gave to Bani Israel, which are the children of Israel, the Jews, with their prophet Musa, the land of Israel. And so the land of Israel has been always part of the history of the Jewish people throughout the 4,000-year history. As they left Egypt as slaves, and they conquered the land and they inhabited and they lived there first for over 1,400 years. They had the first temple and the second temple. They had 48 prophets and prophetesses. The history is very, very rich. Archaeology has proven again and again and again the presence of the Jewish people there. Coins in Hebrew, writings in Hebrew of the King David, King Solomon, and many other kings at that time. So we cannot escape that Israel is part and parcel of the Jewish religion. There's no question about that. And that, according to the prophets, after the exile, the Jews will return back to their land and become sovereign in their land. So that's Judaism, that's Jewish history, that's Jewish faith, that's Jewish theology. Nothing can be more clear than that. And so, however, the term Zionism, I guess, was started by Theodor Herzl based on the word Zion, as I said, is basically, he created a movement 125 years ago to usher the return of the Jews back to the land of Israel, as they were supposed to, based on the prophets, on the words of the prophets of the Bible, that after a long exile, they will all return and claim sovereignty. So that's all what it was. That's all what Zionism is basically the recognition that the land of Israel was given to the Israelites, to the Jews, that they had history there. They had two commonwealths for thousands of years, and they now just returning after a bitter, long, and tragic exile for almost 2,000 years. That's all what it is. Jews, we pray, and we have been praying towards Jerusalem for thousands of years. Even in the diaspora, we always pray towards Jerusalem, as Muslims pray towards Mecca. And we always had pilgrimage to Jerusalem 3 times a year, as Muslims have the pilgrimage to Mecca. In fact, the word Hajj in Arabic comes from the Hebrew word Hag, which is the holiday of pilgrimage in the Jewish Bible to Jerusalem. So So that's what Judaism is, and that's what the land of Israel is. Now, the term Zionist, as I said, is a modern term that Theodor Herzl wanted to usher the return of the Jews to Israel. Now, are all the Jews living in Israel? No. Are all the Jews believe in returning to Israel? Not necessarily either. Some are of the belief that they have to return, and many of them did return and live there now. Some of them believe that they will not return until the Messiah comes and he will bring them back to the land of Israel and they will establish sovereignty. And some Jews say, we like the life in the diaspora, and Israel is a nice Jewish state. We might support him or we may not, but we don't want to move back to Israel, and they will stay in the diaspora. So that's in a nutshell a background on the land of Israel, the belief in the land of Israel that it's part and parcel of the Jewish religion. And I know some people want to differentiate between Zionists and Jews. It is true, Jews is a religion. Zionist is a political movement, but it's a political movement in a sense that is based on religion and history of the Jewish people.
There are many people, like our friend is Noor Dari, who lives in UK. He claims himself a Zionist Muslim. So because it's a political theory, so everyone who supports it, whether he's Jew or not a Jew, he's a Zionist. He or she is a Zionist.
Well, I understand. I believe now the term Zionist mean that you support the existence of the state of Israel. That's basically what in today's term Zionism means.
Thank you for your time.
In a sense, as citizens of the world, we support the existence of the UK, right? We support the existence of France, or the existence of the United States, or the existence of Egypt, or of Morocco, or any country, Argentina, right? We all support their existence because they're, and so we all ought to be, in a sense, Zionists that support also the existence of the state of Israel, like any other country in the world.
Truly, you're right. You're right. We are approaching the timeline now, so I must thank you again. And it was a very informative, and for me it was a learning session with you. It was an excellent podcast. I learned myself a lot, and I hope that people who are watching, listening us, they are also privileged to learn from you. Thank you again, Dr. Elie, and hope to see you soon, meet you again virtually or in person. My best regards and best wishes for you.
Thank you very much, Sayyid Pir, and let me extend to you an invitation to come and visit us here at the UAE. We'll show you how beautiful the country is, how welcoming it is, and how it's a privilege to be able to live here and lead the Jewish community.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.